Hot sports or place. Hot sports or place. 365, we're making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're hiding the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. Hot sport or place, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so type the laces. Hot sports or place.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's been a couple weeks, but we are back on the air on a wonderful Monday night. Hope everyone's doing. Welcome to another episode of Bring It. I'm your host, the Big Dog. With me, as always, is the coach. What's up, Coach?
What's up?
Cool. You got a new microphone there, man. Sounds good.
Thank you. I'm trying to move up in the world.
Sounds good. And we've got Mr. Bold Prediction himself. Xander is back in the house. Jai, you'll be happy to know Xander made the bold prediction of Cincinnati making the Super Bowl in the playoff preview. So he was on the Cincinnati bandwagon. So Xander, welcome back, man.
Good to be here. It's been a little bit. I've been tied up with some things, but I'm glad to be back.
Cool.
Especially for this show.
Yes, definitely. And we have the host of the I'm Gonna Tell Like a TIIS podcast, Mr. Jai Shields, in the house. What's up, Jai?
What's going on, Big Dog and the crew? Good to be back on here on this Monday night, as per usual. I've missed being on. I was a long time, but it's good to be back on and ready to talk some NBA playoff basketball and the NFL with you guys here on this Monday here in April.
Yes, definitely. It's definitely an interesting Monday. It's the Monday before the draft, and we're going to get to the draft in a little bit. But right now, as it's going on, Boston is up 58-50 at halftime on the Brooklyn Nets. And let's talk about that series, how that series has basically been so lopsided. Everyone's been coming after Durant, and I'm drawing a blank. I can't believe this.
Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Thank you. Durant and Kyrie Irving. Wow, it's been a long day. And, just for them playing basically just single ball and not really playing as a team game, whereas Boston's moving the ball around, everything like that. Coach, what's your take on this series? What's your take on how disappointing this Brooklyn Nets team has been? And everyone was like, oh, Kyrie's back. They're going to be able to make a run. And it looks like that run might end tonight.
No, to be honest with you, I said it from the beginning. I never said that they was going to make a run. I had them going out either the first or second round. What people don't realize, because everybody's favorite line, well, they won a championship, they hit the game-winning shots, blah, 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 blah. But they never led a team. When Kyrie led a team in Boston, look what happened to him.
Right.
They got dismantled. KD was in Oklahoma. He didn't lead the team. They were up 3-1 and lost. Then he decided to go to Golden State. He wasn't the leader. He didn't have to worry about that. Just shoot the ball. Play a little defense. Now you got two guys that never really led a team and never really made others better. What you expect? And that's one thing that you got to realize when it comes to playoffs, man. And coaching. Coaching is trash.
Yeah.
In New York.
Steve Nash is terrible.
No, Steve Nash, he's a figurehead at this point. He's basically just rolling the ball out there, letting those guys play. Jai, I know you played a little high school ball. I mean, what's your take on the way like this Nets team is just approaching things? And I don't want to harp on the Nets too long, but that to me that is a big story, that how they're just been they lost on a buzzer beater, but how games 2 and 3, how they've been dominated, how both stars for the Nets didn't show up, and then especially tonight, game 4. And we'll talk about the mystery injury to Ben Simmons in just a minute. But what's your take on all this?
Well, Big Dog, I never made it further than 7th grade middle school basketball. So my basketball career was here today and gone tomorrow. I did play high school football, and one of the things out of that experience that I will tell you is that camaraderie and rhythm and flow and chemistry matters. Mm-hmm. And this Brooklyn Nets team has no chemistry. They have no flow. They have no rhythm. It's straight up NBA 2K My Team, where it's plug and play. I'll put this player here, that player there, and you put me a random coach, a guy who's never coached a day in his life prior to the last season, is Steve Nash, and we expect to go out there and win a championship and play the Lakers in the NBA Finals. real professional sports and pro sports in the real life does not work that way. I screamed and yelled about it with the Rams to a certain degree, bit me in the ass because they ended up winning the Super Bowl. But it was a similar standpoint. Now the Rams were a much more congregative group than this Nets team are. But you get the point I'm trying to make. You can't plug and play a bunch of superstar players that have won. I don't care about what Kyrie Irving did with the Cavs. I don't care what Kevin Durant did with the Golden State Warriors. Coach made an excellent point. All Kevin Durant was concerned about was shooting the basketball, playing his defense. He was the best player on the team, but he didn't have that role of, you guys get on my back, I will take you guys and get you guys to win a ring. He didn't have to do that because he joined a 73-win team that had Draymond Green, one of the best defensive players in basketball, Clay, and then of course the Splash Brothers, with Clay and Steph. So although he's the best player on the team, he didn't have to take that alpha dog role with Golden State. And when he was on OKC with Westbrook, blew a 3-1 lead to Golden State in 2016 in the Western Conference Finals. And then here it is with the Nets. He was excellent against Milwaukee last summer, but it's a what have you done for me lately business and sports. And what I see, what have you done for me lately, is that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving combined have scored 14 points in the fourth quarter in the last 2 games. And Kevin Durant took one shot, not 5, not 10, not 12, not 20. He took one shot in the fourth quarter. His play has completely diminished. And listen, I think it's a fair argument, a fair conversation to have. His legacy takes a hit for this. I mean, I'm sorry, it does. Kyrie Irving's healthy this time. He's healthy this time. You have all the excuses in the world. He could have gotten a free. If he was playing like this against Milwaukee last summer, we would have given him a pass. This time around, no. It's completely unacceptable. And then Kyrie Irving deciding when he wants to show up to work, when he now wants to show up to work. It's a complete disgrace. They don't play defense. They turn over the football ad infinitum, and they're basically they're another thing too with the Nets, they're boring.
Right.
Since the game on Easter Sunday, they have been a complete dull, boring eyesore to watch. With Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, NBA champions, and Kyrie Irving played phenomenal 2016 with Cleveland, but they're boring. They're boring. The Barclays Center is as dead as a doornail. The whole building was filled with Celtics fans for crying out loud on Saturday night. It's an absolute complete disgrace. It's an utter disgrace. You can't defend it. It's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing.
No, definitely. And this Boston Celtics team, Xander, I'm going to go to you with this. This Celtics team really gelling, playing like a team. Everyone's saying that this Celtics team can make the conference finals, even make the NBA finals. Can you see them getting that far right now? Are they still, or do you think, because they're probably going to end up playing Milwaukee in the next round? Do you think they match up well against Milwaukee? What do you see out of this Celtics team?
Well, with in regards to the Celtics have been amazing this past season. I haven't seen a Celtics team play like this in a good bit. They've really been gelling together. Their shooters are starting to really, generate. I mean, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are averaging almost 40 points a game.
Yeah,
so
two of them, yeah.
And then you got Marcus Smart coming off in on the small forward. And, I mean, they don't have Robert Williams right now, but I think they could match up well against the Bucks. I think they will sweep the Nets. That's inevitable right now. The Nets are just a terrible team, and it's really bad. And Ja touched on pretty much every point I could have touched on for that one. But going back to the Celtics, I think this team is definitely a championship caliber team, at least from what I've seen in the past month and a half. They've really stepped up their game when it's really been needed. And I think they might have a little trouble against Milwaukee, but honestly, if they can show the defensive prowess that they've been showing against Brooklyn, I think they can shut down Giannis, and I think they have a chance to win the championship.
Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good series to say the least, because the first round in the East has been pretty much pretty laughable if you look at all four series in the East. Now, let's go to the Western Conference. It seems to be a little more competitive there. Coach, New Orleans and Phoenix. Booker goes down. New Orleans is making this a series. Should Phoenix panic, or is this a team playing with like all like with no worries, just playing out of their mind, and eventually might come back down to earth? Or is this thing might go 7, and Chris Paul needs to not play like he played last night? That's for sure.
I'm probably gonna go 7. They didn't think it was gonna go 7. Booker being out. It's funny how you go last year. You take the Lakers. LeBron was out. You take Miami. Jimmy Butler was out. That was in the NBA Finals the year before. And this year you got the Bucks, Middleton out, and Booker. I think one thing you gotta give a lot of credit to their head coach. I don't know what he does at halftime. Because the point differential from going into the fourth, they're always up. They're always playing defense. They're flying around. I mean, and they got belief. They got hope.
Yeah.
And Booker was the one pure shooter that they were going against. So they know they can put a consistent pressure on Chris Paul on both ends of the floor. That he's older. He can't move like he used to. So the longer this series go, the better chance that New Orleans has.
No, they definitely look good. And Jai, Brandon Ingram stepping up, putting in 30 plus a game, playing an all-star level. Obviously he's the future of this franchise now, with Zion just sitting on the bench eating waffles, because he's just getting bigger and he's not doing anything. When it comes down to it in a game 7, will the pressure get to someone like a Brandon Ingram against, this Phoenix team saying, oh, I've got a chance? Or is Ingram the real deal? I mean, what are you seeing him?
I tell you one thing, I guarantee the Lakers wish they could have kept him. That yep. I can tell you that much. He's another one. One of their pieces of their future that they sold away for a bag of Doritos over the last couple of years. But Brandon Ingram, who is just absolutely sensational, 30 points last night, 30 points last night, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, which only turned over only turned over the basketball one time, had a plus minus of plus 18. He's just a sensational basketball player. And I tweeted this out after the game was over. I said, could you imagine what the Pelicans could look like next year after that, with a healthy Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Valanciunas, CJ McCollum, and Zion? Right. This is a team that could be.
Stop bringing up Zion. Trade this fool
could be
and move on.
In a few years, the Pelicans may have something. If they can get Zion healthy, in shape, and on the court, New Orleans Pelicans are going to be all right, because Brandon Ingram is just a sensational basketball player. That team last night, they showed guts, played with plenty of heart. The crowd for a tip-off after 9 o'clock on a Sunday night was into it, raring to go. They played. It was funny. You saw the same thing from Denver and their crowd earlier that day on Sunday.
Right.
But Denver was like, holy crap, we lose this game, our season's over, we're about to get swept. The switch turned on for New Orleans to tie the series. And if you're a Suns fan, that has to bother you. Because it wasn't like they were trying to scathe off elimination. They were trying to tie up the series and make sure that the game later on this week in Phoenix wasn't an elimination game. And if I'm a Phoenix Suns fan, knowing that Chris Paul's not getting any younger, and he's not considered. A lot of people have him on his level. I don't, as one of the game's greatest point guards of all time. And no Booker for the next week and a half, 2 weeks or whatever. Phoenix is in trouble. And I picked Phoenix to win the NBA championship. And I'm rooting like hell for Phoenix because I like the team. I like the team's makeup. I like Devin Booker. And I like Monty Williams, the head coach. But
Mm.
the New Orleans Pelicans could throw a wrench into whatever championship aspirations the Phoenix Suns have by knocking them off here in the first round.
Yeah,
Wouldn't be
definitely.
surprised if they do, to be quite honest with
It
you.
wouldn't be surprising, and I mean, I remember when Denver was an 8 seed and they beat Seattle back when Mutombo was playing for them, and obviously the Knicks team with Allen Houston, they beat Miami as an 8 seed, so that's definitely be a big upset. Xander, I mean, this series has definitely been entertaining. It's been hard to stay up here on the East Coast to watch these games. I'm sure with you and me having to work every day. But what's your general take of this series? I mean, but both teams playing well, and the one player that I don't think anyone's talking about is this guard Herb Jones for New Orleans. You know, the other guard with McCullough in the backcourt. I mean, he's been a nice little role player, playing 35, 40 minutes a game, getting his 14 points. But I mean, I think he's a big factor on this New Orleans team. Well, I mean, how do you see this series at this point?
How do I see the series? This is a good series so far. I like it a lot. When I was first following the series, I think it was the Suns. They went up 2-0, 2-0 in the series, and then
No, it was 1-0. It was been 1-0, 1-1, 2-1,
1-0, 1-1. Okay, so
Right.
then
It's alternated. They've won every.
it has
other game.
alternated. Then I'm thinking of a different series. But regardless, I have seen this series go in two different directions at every point. But I think first thing, I think the Suns will pull it out. I think they're in good hands. I think Devin Booker being out is going to hinder that a little bit. It's going to hinder a lot of the production that they had. Maybe not a lot, but it's going to hinder some of the production that they have. But I think Michael Bridges will step up big time, filling those starting shoes. And then DeAndre Ayton, he's a good big man down low. I think he's going to be able to be a huge help along the road and in the defense and not letting people get into the paint. And then on the flip side, it wouldn't be a shock to me if the Pelicans won the series. I mean, Brandon Ingram, as you said, is playing at an all-star level. He's finally coming into the shoes that he came in to fill, 4 years ago. And he's becoming himself. He's really becoming himself. And this is what everybody expected from him coming out of college. And with the supporting cast with Valanciunas and McCollum and even Herb Jones coming off the bench, I think that team is in prime position to improve exponentially throughout the years. And I wouldn't be surprised in the next 3-4 years if we see them trying to compete for the West Coast Conference Championship and eventually the NBA Championship.
Yeah, it could be interesting if they stay together. And Joe, I hope you'll get a little of that orange karma that they have in their uniforms from the Bengals.
Yeah,
a little luck in there.
A little orange karma.
Hopefully. There's a lot of. It's funny you bring that up because there was the game earlier this season where Cam Johnson arrived in an orange Jamar Chase jersey, and I forget what game it was. It might have been. It probably was either I think it might have been the Week 17 game against Kansas City. Mm-hmm. But you get the idea. Sometime in January, Chris Paul tweeted, "I got to get my hands on a Jamar Chase jersey," and Jamar Chase ended up sending them one. And back in February, there was a picture of Nick Bosa, Joe Burrow, I think J.J. Watt and Devin Booker that were out golfing in Arizona together back in February. So there is a little bit of there's a couple of members of the Phoenix Suns locker room that loves them. A couple of players on my Cincinnati Bengals. So hopefully that good mojo rubs off on them and they can make it to another NBA Finals.
Yeah, got to get that karma for sure. Another series that's tied up at 2 is Utah and Dallas. Two teams that are kind of evenly matched. Luka's back on the court after being hurt for a couple games, but hard to really get a read on this series just because they seem evenly matched. But I don't see either of these teams, even whoever team wins this round. I don't see either of them advancing out of this round. I mean, Coach, these teams they're just kind of playing it out. But Coach, I can't see them making any noise after this round. Can you?
No, of course not. It's a done data. Wrap it up. Whoever plays them in the second round, which I think it
would be Phoenix.
It'll be Phoenix. It'll be
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
It'd be the winner of Phoenix.
The 1-8, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Phoenix. Hey, so Phoenix. This is your cakewalk next game if you get a chance. Because either one of them, man, they just, like I said, I don't know. The Jazz should have won this game, but Luka's back. One thing about Luka, man, he ball hogs, and he's a liability on defense. So
he definitely is. He definitely is. Xander, no, this series is, as I said, been really evenly matched series. But like between Donovan and Luka, I mean, which player needs to step out more to lead their team to a victory, because they're basically their two teams' aces.
I think it's got to be Luka, and not in the offensive stance, because offensively Luka's obviously really, really good. I mean, yeah, he balks a little bit, but he proves that if he does, it's a little bit okay. It's passable, But I think he needs to step up defensively. He needs to find whatever type of defensive god in him to just rise up and come out and play and just lock down, because you can't do much with no defense. You can score a lot, but if the other team is able to score a lot too, you're going to be in a shootout, and eventually that team's going to lock you down. And they have two people who are pretty good at defense. The Jazz do. Rudy Gobert, who's a proven defensive player of the year, and so he locks.
That block he made the other night was amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was like, whoa. Okay. All right. Bringing back shades of 2019 defensive player of the year. I like it. And so I think, in my opinion, Luka would need to step up more. Though Donovan's got he had a good game one, but I haven't seen anything about him in the past 3 games. So I gotta see a little more out of him and see. Hopefully the Jazz pull through. I'm going for the Jazz on this one.
We'll see what happens. It'll definitely be interesting. The other series in the West that's tied up is Memphis and Minnesota, a series no one thought would be this close. But Jai, these two teams, Minnesota blows the lead in Game 3, blows a 25-point lead going into the fourth quarter in Game 3, comes back, wins Game 4, tied it up. Ja Morant just got named Most Improved Player of the Year. Michael Anthony Towns is playing lights out. I mean, this series is definitely going 7, but again, another series that I can't get a read on, because every time I think it's going to go one way, it goes the other way.
Yeah, give Karl Anthony Towns and the Timberwolves tremendous credit. And he was lucky that I wasn't able to do a show, because I'd gotten sick, had a fever of 103 last week. So he's lucky that I was sick in bed with a high fever, because if I wasn't, I'd have came on my show and absolutely destroyed him for, with the next question nonsense and go home, drink some wine, all that foolishness, after he basically gave us a scene straight out of the Titanic. Or no, not the Titanic, a scene right out of The Notebook. Shout out Ryan Gosling for him, arm in arm Jordan Woods at mid court after the playing game against the Clippers, with Patrick Beverly snot dripping from his nose, crying all 9 yards
for a
playing game. Oh my goodness gracious! But anyway, give them tremendous credit after embarrassing themselves in front of America the game before. Give them tremendous credit for bouncing back on Saturday night, dropping 33, 8 of 17 from the field, was 3 of 5 from 3, 14 rebounds, 12 of them on the defensive side of the ball, and 3 assists. Had an absolutely exceptional game, an excellent bounce back game by Towns. Gotta give him credit in the world, give him credit where credit is due. And Anthony Edwards doing a sensational job with the Timberwolves. Grizzlies, again, it's a back and forth series. I anticipate it going to 7 games as well. When I predicted it, predicted Memphis to win this series in 7 games because of how competitive and how, you know, these two squads just trade punches. You know, one minute you think, oh, look, Memphis and John Moran is going to stick it to the Timberwolves after they collapse, and then next game they come right back and they deliver a nice responding punch, so to speak. You know, John Morant's got to play better. He was atrocious on Saturday night, 4-13, 11 points is not going to cut it. So, you know, it's basically going to come down to, you know, if they keep alternating wins, it's going to come down to who has the better game in the back end of the series. And, you know, I predicted Memphis to win because I love the way John Morant played the last month and change of the regular season. But if the Timberwolves pull a rabbit out of the hat once again, you know, and win this series, whether it's in 6 or in 7, you know, they absolutely, you won't hear me saying that they don't deserve it, because they do, especially after their collapse last week. Give them all the credit in the world for fighting back on Saturday night.
Oh yeah, definitely. This has been a fun series to watch. I've really enjoyed it, and I think it's been almost even though people have been talking about Michael Anthony Towns, this series is almost a coming out party for him. Karl Anthony Towns are coming out party for him and his talent. You know, because playing in Minnesota, smaller market, not really getting the TV rep that he needs. I think especially this series goes 7, he'll get the more primetime games, more visual, and people are able to see the talent he has.
The series gets buried because it's Memphis, Tennessee. And it's Memphis, Tennessee, and Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Right.
You know, it isn't Atlanta, it isn't Philly, it isn't Boston, it isn't Miami. You know, the Bucks they're the defending champs, so you know it doesn't matter where they play. When you're the defending champ, you're going to get media attention. It's not Brooklyn or Borough in New York City. Phoenix, the defending Western Conference final with Chris Paul and Devin Booker on the team. Dallas, you know, they're not going to get that. They're not going to get that. You know, they're not going to get that exposure. You know, Mike Breen. You're not going to see Mike Breen and company.
Van Gundy.
Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. You know, go to Memphis and go to Minneapolis to do the series.
No,
but if it's intriguing basketball and it's entertaining basketball, well played basketball, and it's been a hell of a good series, what does it matter?
No, definitely.
All that other stuff is just window dressing.
Exactly. Just a quick score update. Celtics are up 70-64 with 7 minutes left in the third. The other game that's live right now, Toronto's up by 1 over the Sixers late in the first quarter. Toronto went up started 18-9, and then obviously the Sixers have come back on a run. So that series, the Miami series is over, the Milwaukee series is over, and the other series that's 3-1. Even though it's basically over, I do want to talk about this Golden State team. All I have to say is, wow. I mean, I knew they'd probably lose the other night in Denver just because Jokic wasn't going to let them get swept. But this Golden State team is dangerous. They are scary. They are clicking, and Jordan Poole is, welcome to the dance, because you are the chosen new card now, because you're just playing your lights out. Coach, this Golden State team is fun to watch. They move the ball around. If you guard one, the other guy's going to score. I mean, I could see this Golden State team winning the whole thing, just the way they're clicking at this point.
Oh, without a doubt. Do you know how fun and exciting it would be to watch Golden State in Miami?
Oh, that'd be an incredible fun.
I'd rather see Golden State in Boston, but you may continue.
No, you talking about because one thing about it is you talking about some trash talking and threes flying everywhere. Oh, it'd be exciting to watch that. But man, Golden State is back to what Golden State does. All they did was, okay, KD, you left. Man, we're gonna draft another kid late in the rounds, and we're gonna develop him. And the blessing in disguise was Curry being hurt the last 2 years and Clay not being there. So now, like, all these young cats, they got a lot of burn. They got a lot of playing.
Yeah.
So now they just fit in and just realize, man, I can just get the one-on-one. And if you go back and you look at that game, man, it was kind of a weird game because Clay and Steph Curry missed 7 free throws combined.
Yeah, which is odd.
Like that was like even Clay. I mean, Steph was on the
Clay
sideline.
Clay missed 1 and Steph missed 3. So
No, he did. He missed more than that because in the game he was like 4. Because he even said it 4 free throws. Like I missed 4 free throws. Because like during the game he said that. So
yeah, Steph missed 4. He was 10 of 14, and Klay Thompson 1 of 2. So make it
okay,
5.
fine. My bad. I'm sorry.
5 combined.
Subtract my 2. I said 7.
But the thing about this Golden State team is the way they're running their rotation now is they have Steph coming off the bench. At this point, I mean, I can't see Kerr changing it. You know, I mean, I'm going to go to you, Xander. I can't see Kerr changing this rotation because it's working. You know, with someone like Steph coming off the bench, he's still playing his 35, 37 minutes, whatever. But to know that he's not coming on the court right away, he's coming off the bench to have that kind of firepower. And Steph doesn't care. He's a team player. He's like, I'm getting my check. I'm getting paid. I want my ring. I'll do whatever it takes. I mean, if you're Steve Kerr, Xander, do you even remotely touch this rotation, or do you just leave it the way it is?
Right now, no, you can't touch this rotation. Jordan Poole is playing, as you said, lights out. He is doing a phenomenal job at filling in his role and filling in that starting role for Curry. Klay Thompson coming back into his natural form. And then, as you said, Curry coming off the bench is a huge game changer because it gives you that surability that somebody's going to come off the bench and play those 35 minutes, but as well as he's also going to give you 30, possibly 35 points at any given moment. So that is real nice. I wouldn't touch the lineup. I would also kind of rest Curry. I don't think this is a series where you're going to have to really worry about having to have your star players all on the court at the same time. So I think it's a good idea to still just have Curry come off the bench and start Poole. But maybe next series, if it's a tough opponent, they might have to bring out all 3.
Yeah, well, they would play the winner of the Memphis-Minnesota series. So John, I'm gonna turn to you. Obviously, Golden State's going to win this series. Who do you see as a better matchup for this Golden State team, Minnesota or Memphis? It's a tough. I know it's a tough question for me. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I could. Both teams are tough, you know.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Memphis.
Maybe Minnesota. I mean, who on Golden State can guard Karl Anthony Towns? I mean, can Draymond body him up for 7 games?
He could annoy him, and we saw that he annoyed Jokic yesterday. But to what point? I mean, Jokic is one of the best players. Is one of the best players in the game. MVP extraordinaire. And Draymond Green, I mean, he freaking poked him right in the eye, and that still didn't stop Jokic. So at the end of the day, I mean, I think regardless who they play, I think that Golden State, unless they completely throw up all over themselves the next couple of games, and I think that this series is all, but I think I give them a 75% chance of winning this series. I only say not the whole 15. I understand no Jamal Murray, this, that, and the other, but Nuggets are a gritty team. This same team that 2 years ago, I understand they had Murray, but 2 years ago in the Orlando bubble, they 3-1 lead twice in the same postseason, came back. So nothing.
But who did they play?
Nothing's guaranteed. I understand. I know who they played. I know,
play?
but it reflects on the coaching. It reflects on.
And
I'm not saying Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr's an excellent coach. I'm not disparaging anything from Steve Kerr, but I think they got a good chance to if the Suns make it out alive against New Orleans. I think you're gonna have a Suns Warriors conference final. But I mean, whoever they play in the second round is going to be a very tough out. I think the easiest Golden State has it is here in the first round, and that's why it's so imperative that the next game that they got to finish the deal. They cannot under any circumstances lose in their own building and allow this series to be 3-2. You can't have it. You cannot have it. You got to close the deal.
Definitely, Coach. I'm going to give you the last word on this series. You know, basically, Golden State's a team that the NBA would love. I think the NBA would love to see them in the finals. I think they are a great TV product. Definitely get ratings. You know, Curry would be going for his I think his 4th ring. If he had 2 with Durant, 1 by himself. So he would be going for his 4th. Definitely a team that, you know, definitely brings eyes to the screen. And it's amazing how they've taken, you know, that small lineup. I mean, what do they call it? They call it the death lineup, something like that is what they're calling it. I mean, just, you know, you said you love to see a Golden State Miami final, but like what is it about that appeal? I mean, obviously you being a Heat fan, but what is it appeals to you about this Golden State team so much that's going to attract those eyes to the screen?
Because they be scoring. One thing about that, you take Miami, you take Golden State, they really don't care who scores.
Right.
Like you look at both series, there's always someone, you know, there's different scoring a lot of points. I think that's the beauty of both of these teams. Unlike like we hit on Boston. Okay, it's Tatum. You know he's gonna get his. You go to the Bucks, you know the Freak is gonna get his. And I think you talk about 2 teams, especially they're both focused on defense. Say what you want, they got both sides. They want to
Right.
play defense, and then they want to run a gun and air it out. So I truly believe that that'll be a more exciting game. And I you know, I said it from the beginning. I got Miami going to the championship against Golden State. The next round, I think Timberwolves will give them more because they're physical. They'll bang them a little bit.
Right.
But if they play Memphis, man, it's just gonna be a shootout. It's all it's
Yeah,
gonna be.
it'll turn into a 3-point contest.
It'll be a
Yeah.
shootout, and you don't want to go. You don't want to go in the shootout with them.
No.
So I like Golden State. I just think if you go back and you look at the game, Steph Curry started out the game. Quote me if I'm wrong. What 0-5, 0-6 from shooting from the field.
He did not shoot the ball well. Still had like when a stretch he was 0 for 5, 0 for 6. His numbers for the game, 10 of 23, not great, and 3 of 11 from 3.
Yeah, and you talking about
Klay Thompson was back to his old form, but that was it. Jordan Poole and Steph Curry both had off games yesterday.
And they only lost by 5. So what does that tell you? Those guys had an off night. They still only lost by 5. Those guys were on. Forget it. It's over.
That was, I refuse to lose. Now let's see how you feel tomorrow. When you got to go out there and Golden State. Because, I mean, I can't even think his name, who hit the 3 at the end. Man, they was hitting everything at the end.
Right.
They was hot. Exactly. It was one of those moments, you know, you had a moment like that. But again, it's one of those things you don't want to go in a shootout.
No,
can't go in a shootout with them.
This team will be appointment television the rest of the playoffs for sure. All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the National Football League draft coming up on Thursday. Interesting draft this year, not big stars, but we'll talk more about that. We'll be right back. All right, cool. Awesome. Yeah, definitely go check out ASAP Plus. We got the Arena Football League coming back. Maybe we'll get more viewers than the USFL is getting. Coach, I saw you talking USFL yesterday, man. I was laughing. I'm like, how can anyone even be talking about this league, man?
Hey, man, we talk about football, all kinds of football.
It's a hard watch, man. I watched a little bit. It was a hard watch for me, and I love football. But, anyway, let's talk about the big boys, the National Football League. Draft is coming up on Thursday. The first round, Jacksonville once again has the first draft choice. This is what I call a meat and potatoes draft. Not really a lot of big name, big stars, but a lot of interior guys, offensive linemen, edge rushers, a lot of wide receivers coming out. Only 2 real quarterbacks people are talking about. Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh and the kid from Liberty. You know, a lot of second, third round. A lot of guys will probably get in the later rounds will definitely come through. But Xander, I know you love the draft. You love talking draft. You love analyzing this draft. What do you see happening? I mean, Hutchinson's been the talk of the draft, and all of a sudden the kid from Georgia is moving up on a lot of mock draft charts to be the number 1 choice. So, how do you see like the first? Let's start with the first 5 with Jacksonville, Detroit, Houston, the Jets, at the Jets and Giants, both the first out of two early first round picks. How do you see that first round going as far as the beginning of it? You're muted. Can't hear you. Okay. No, we still
Sorry
can't.
about that.
There you go. All right, try it again.
All right. So number one, I think that it'll still be Aidan Hutchinson. I know Trayvon Walker has shot up the board a bit, and he is an amazing prospect, and he's definitely a top 3 pick, and he'll probably be the second pick if Detroit wants him. But right now, I think number 1 stays Aidan Hutchinson. He's a premier athlete. He's big. He's got size. He's got speed, and he gets very nice leverage, one-on-one. He's got a little problem with the double team, but I'm sure he can work on that with his strength coach as well as his linebacking, or excuse me, his D-line coach. Number 2, as I said, most likely will be Trayvon Walker. I could see who's the O tackle out of what college? I think it's Bama. Probably not.
the kid out of Alabama, right?
Evan Neal.
I think third pick goes O tackle, and then 4th and 5th. Who goes 4th and 5th? It's
Jets have the 4 and the Giants have Houston has the 3, and then the Jets have the 4. The Giants have the 5.
Well, Houston needs an O-line, so yes, Houston will go O-lineman. I keep thinking that the Jets have the 3rd pick, but no. The Jets, I don't even know what the Jets will do. This is an interesting pick. They can go either side. They need help on either side of the ball. Now their D-line is starting to mend together a little bit. Quinnen Williams is starting to really come out as being like their premier D lineman, but I think adding one of the D linemen in this very, very deep draft. I would say Kayvon Thibodeau would be my pick for pick 4, and then pick 5. I would say it. I think the Giants would go offensive line as well, only because they tried with Andrew Thomas 2 years ago, was a number 4 or 5 overall pick. He was not supposed to be, and he didn't do too well. And it's kind of just been mediocre for the Giants O-line at this point. So I think adding one of the premier O-linemen in the top 5 would be a huge addition for.
Oh yeah, well the Giants, my Giants, and I didn't leave the team like some other people at this network did. Coach knows who I'm talking about. He shakes his head. Shout out to Freddie. No, it's the Giants definitely need O-line help. The Jets just need help in general. Coach, now when teams are drafting players, you're a high school coach, you're prepping guys to go to college. College is prepping guys to go to the pros. They say, oh, the best guy on the board, they say that sometimes, or they say, the guy with the most talent, but the guy with the most talent doesn't necessarily fit the system as we see. So, I mean, how do these teams evaluate? I want to get a coach's perspective on a draft like this. How do they evaluate players? How do they see who can fit in their system, and why sometimes, even though they have a skill set that's 5 stars, don't they fit in the system?
I mean, usually when you look at, especially if you're talking about the NFL draft, you're looking at different makers. Who are the game changers? Who are the guys that can make a difference? Especially when you're picking in the top 10. Right. These are your future Hall of Fame players in your mind. That's the vision. So you try not to go wrong with the pick. Meaning, in this case, it's probably going to be a D lineman, that pass rusher, because that's what you need. You look and see how much all the trading and switching of quarterbacks going everywhere. So you need a lot of teams are looking for a pass rush.
Right.
So, because right now that's the highest grade of all the athletes, and it's just pretty much it's more so for, like I said, it's more of a need than want. Like everybody might want the quarterback, or they might want that corner, but I need this guard to protect my quarterback, or I need this running back to save my receiver core, or help my O-line, or help my defense with struggles. So you try to mix and match it. I think, and then it just goes with coaching personality. when you look at the Texans, I agree with Xander. I think they probably want to get a lineman, but knowing who's the head coach, he's going to draft defense. He's going to try to get a rusher. He's going to get a rusher or a D tackle or somebody because that's what he believes in. I mean, that's one of the things you looked at when he was in Chicago. He started with defense. Even with Tampa, he started with defense. So I think he's probably going to get a rusher so he can use that Tampa 2, which that's what he believes in, and say, hey, go be free, man. So it's very curious about how teams are going to work. Like the Jets. Jets is a more defensive coach. He's already had a D line, so he's probably going to, if anything, work more of his secondary, and more of his secondary because he needs help there, and try to get as much talent as he can around that quarterback that he has.
No, it's exactly you have to do that because as we're learning more, this is a quarterback-driven league. You know, you have to have the star quarterback, then you have to keep the quarterback upright. And talking about keeping quarterbacks upright, Jai, we'll go to you. That was your Bengals' Achilles heel. Was the offensive? Stop it, Coach. Come on. You gave me a good lead in. Okay,
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm so ready for these Bengals to be done with.
Obviously, their number one need is
we make it to the Super Bowl one time, and you guys all of a sudden start losing your mind. It's like what triggered it inside you guys? What you guys kill them? Zan, I'm talking about. Coach has been on the Bengals.
You know what? I apologize. Because at least I can say every time I seen you, you had the Bengals colors in the background. So therefore, for you, it's cool. But all of a sudden, man, it is a lot of Bengals came out of nowhere. I'm like, where did y'all come from? Like, but hey, man, that's the thing. It's like y'all had a good year. Now let's talk about next year, and then we put you in that category of you arrive.
We'll be there next year.
Right. So as I was saying, so obviously offensive line is the big need, but if the O lineman's not there at the end of the first round, where do you think the Bengals go?
It's funny with them because they got two ways to go at it. They can either build depth because we know that the Bengals are about a couple. They got a hole or two that they still will have to address with the line. It's serviceable. It's good. If week one was tomorrow, they'd be all right. But they still got some holes with the offensive line need to address. You know that they need to add some depth to it because they're one or two bad injuries away from being right back at square one where they were last year with the offensive line. And then on the flip side, on defense, they got to go out there and get some corners and build their secondary. Their secondary was not good whatsoever. They had their moments, but they weren't good whatsoever in the Super Bowl. Odell Beckham Jr. was going to have a career day against them and set and break all sorts of records and run away with Super Bowl MVP had not he gotten injured. And Cooper Kupp absolutely torched Eli Apple in that defense, especially in the fourth quarter and back in Super Bowl 56 back in February. So they got this two-pronged attack. Me personally, it doesn't matter to me which one. You find a way, you got a top corner, I'll be satisfied. The Ted Kakis, whatever his name is, he's a guard center hybrid. So if they want to move him to a guard and see if they can get a center, it's funny because before this show started, on Instagram you have people saying Q&A, and it happened to be Phil Simms who had like a Q&A, and I said, what prospect best suits the Bengals' needs? The great Phil Simms ended up getting back to me, and he said Tyler Lindbaum, the center out of Iowa. So if he ends up either falling to us or we, trade a couple of late draft picks to move up a couple of spots, and we end up getting them, absolutely thrilled with that. It's cornerback help or attacking the offensive line, and let the chips fall where they may everywhere else.
Well, I've seen some interesting things, and even though mock drafts are just mock drafts, Peter King put out his mock draft today, and he has Cincinnati taking the tight end out of Colorado State to try to replace C.J. Uzuma, who signed with the Jets, which was obviously a money grab because we all know the Jets are the Jets. So I thought that was an interesting.
CJ coming off of a torn Achilles, had a nice season with us last year. He deserves it. So listen, I ain't never going to, like Jay-Z said, can't knock the hustle. But if it was me, I understand getting paid, but if it was me, after the season I had with Cincinnati and the way it ended, if I'm CJ Uzomah, I'm like, I'm running. After I understand it's not my money, it's not my life. I get that. But if it's me, I'm like, I cannot leave these guys with that feeling of with that bad taste of losing the Super Bowl the way we did in my mouth. And he was one of the big. He was a big locker room guy with us. Losing him hurts. It hurts.
Definitely.
But,
when I saw
we
that,
gotta go out there and build the line and build up and definitely with the secondary because Eli Apple ain't going to cut it. I'm sorry, it just isn't. Even if Burrow wins MVP, and I can count on one hand how many times he gets sacked all season long, I don't like the method of having to outscore teams to beat them. I don't like that. You got to be able to have defense.
Well, you're absolutely right. Xander, I'm going to turn to you. You're a Steelers fan, right? Am I right? Yeah, that's right. Your house bleeds Pittsburgh Steelers.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, you guys have dealt with a horrible offseason tragedy at the quarterback position. However, most of the drafts have the Steelers taking Kenny Pickett, even though they just signed Mitchell Trubisky. Coach shaking his head. I think it's a bad pick. It's a reach. What do you see the Steelers doing? I mean, is Pickett a guy that would? I mean, obviously he went to Pitt. He's a hometown kid. But do you reach up that high to get him, or do you ride with Trubisky and address some of the other issues at that spot?
So I think that we will draft a quarterback. I don't think it'll be Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, I think, will be reached on by somebody else. I think Kenny Pickett, in fact, I think the Panthers are going to be very bold, and they're going to go Kenny Pickett. I know that they said that Sam Darnold is their guy, but I don't really believe that, and I think they're going to pick Kenny Pickett. But that's completely besides the point. The Steelers have a very interesting position. We're sort of toward the middle of the draft, right? So what you got to think about is at this point for the Steelers, at almost every year that I've watched the draft, the Steelers normally go, usually it's best player available for the position that we need.
Right.
Or if we're late enough, it's just best player available. For right now, I think this year they're going to go quarterback. I think Malik Willis will be our pick. I would be excited. I know he's got some things to work on in the offseason and in practice and in training. But he's got a heck of an arm, and if he can just work on a little bit of that accuracy as well as his just ability to have a big pocket presence and not collapse. I think that he'll be a great fit for Pittsburgh, especially Mike Tomlin's offense.
Yeah.
On the
Tomlin
flip
loves
side,
him. Tomlin has come out. He loves that kid.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Tomlin is super excited, and I'm sure that if he's there, Tomlin will push everything to get him. If he's there, I don't think that we're going to trade up. A lot of people are saying that the Steelers are going to trade up and try and get a quarterback from there. But I just don't think that the Steelers need to trade up to get a quarterback. I think that some teams, might reach on him. And if there's no quarterbacks by the time we get there, then O-lineman it is. But we also have a choice of O-lineman because I wouldn't be, as you guys mentioned him earlier, I would be pretty okay with Tyler Linderbaum because, I mean, that kid's a stud. The kid's great. And I also wouldn't be shocked if we took a corner on this one. I know I can't remember his name. His first name is Kyler, but he's a cornerback for the University of Washington. I saw him on tape. He was pretty good, and I would be excited. He would be a great fit for Pittsburgh if he came as a corner. But mainly, I think that we draft a quarter. I think the Steelers draft a quarterback, and I'm hoping. I'm also kind of like in the back. I'm hoping, and I'm also, what's the word?
Anticipating.
Predicting, anticipating something. I don't know what happened there, but anticipating us picking some sort of quarterback, if not Malik Willis.
Well, that definitely will be interesting. Now, Coach, there was a lot of talk. Deebo Samuel came out and said he wanted to be traded from San Francisco, scrubbed his Instagram like a lot of these players are doing. But Deebo Samuel's the kind of player that intrigues a lot of teams. There's a couple teams in this first round that have 2 picks. San Francisco does not have a first-round draft choice. They spent it all on Trey Lance last year, basically. If you're Frisco, do you listen to offers? I mean, because if Samuel doesn't want to be there, and you can't keep a disgruntled player there. Some of these teams, like the Giants, the Jets have 2. Philadelphia has 2. Kansas City has 2 late first-round picks. I mean, what do you think he's gonna get moved? What do you think is gonna happen with the Deebo Samuel thing?
Well, I don't think he's gonna get traded, but I wouldn't mind listening. I mean, you saw all these receivers getting all this money. He wanted his money too. So I would, but that's the thing when you sit here and you look at it, where does he really fit? There's really only, my opinion, only 2 teams. Like you can say the Colts because they need a receiver, and then you can say the Jets because that's pretty much the exact same offense that they run in San Francisco. But other than that, I don't know, because I watched Deebo. I seen Deebo catch a lot of screens. I see Deebo run the ball, but I haven't really legitimately just watched his route running. So I can't put him in the top 5, top 10 of route running skill wise.
Right.
Meaning, can he stay on the outside and run routes and beat somebody, or is it just he's just a screen guy? And Shanahan did a great job of getting the ball in their best player's hands and put him in the best position.
Well,
they're not gonna.
He's built like a back almost like a tight end, you know. So
yes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very curious of what they're gonna do. I don't think they're gonna do anything. Just for the simple fact of the matter, they're like, hey, you're not going to punk us. You're going to be a 49er. Matter of fact, if you keep acting like this, you'll be a 49er for the next 3 years because we're franchise tag you. Yo, but and then on that last year, we'll get rid of you. Like kind of like what they did to Le'Veon Bell. Pittsburgh did to Le'Veon Bell. We're gonna franchise tag you. We're gonna ride. You can't ride you no more. And then guess what? All right. So it's kind of one of those things. I'm very curious, but I don't think they're gonna let him go unless they get a boatload back.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, if you're the Jets and you say, all right, we'll give you our number 4 pick, our number 4 pick this year, in a 3rd round, whatever, you know, I mean, you got to listen to that. You
of
have
course,
to, you know, and if the Jets are willing to sign him to an extension, of course, you know, that'll be interesting. I can't see him fitting in the Giants scheme. Kansas City is an interesting thought only because of the way Andy Reid runs screens down in Kansas City, the way he ran them for Tyreek Hill and all that. You know, losing Tyreek definitely will be interesting to see, you know, what they do with Juju Smith-Schuster with them now, but who knows? All right, I want to end the show with some bold draft day predictions. So, you know, you could shoot out something crazy here. You know, Xander's 1 for 1, so he might go 2 for 2. So I'm going to hold him for last. So Jai, with this draft, I mean, what's something crazy that you say, you know what? I think this crazy thing is going to happen. What do you think?
I'll say Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded.
To who? Who do you think? Seattle?
No.
No.
They need a quarterback.
I think I'll just say this for the hell of it. I'll say they'll trade Jimmy Garoppolo
to the Bengals.
Oh God, no. I'll say a team will give away a late rounder for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that team, and this is for the sake of bold prediction, so if it happens, I look like a genius. If it doesn't happen, you can yell at me on Twitter later. I'll say Jimmy goes to Carolina. What the hell?
Okay.
And in a late rounder, in a late little deal that happens either right smack dab in the middle of the draft or before it starts. And I'll make another bold prediction that Aaron Rodgers will not steal the show 3 hours away from the opening pick like he did last year, blowing up Trevor Lawrence's spot. When we had Adam Schefter tell the whole world that Aaron Rodgers was basically going to take up arms and burn down Lambeau Field to rubble because he was dissatisfied with the situation up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Big Dog, just for you, by the way, Michael in the OC, Big Dog knows what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Mike in the OC wants to know when's the next time you're having him on. He, of course, bouncing around Twitter Spaces talking about Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, bitching and screaming about winning time. Wants to know when's the next time he's
when we do the all Los Angeles episode of Bring It, we will have Mike in the OC on because he's our LA Google guy, that's for sure. Yeah, well, Mike, we'll have you back. I promise, brother. We'll have you back. I promise. All right, Coach.
Man,
bold prediction with the draft. What do you think?
I really don't know, to be honest with you, because I don't know. I think it's just someone's going to reach for Pickett. I don't know who it is. They're going to come out of nowhere and they're going to trade some drafts for Pickett because for some reason it's just the thing to do when it comes to quarterbacks. No matter how you look at it, at first I always said it was one quarterback that'll go, and I thought it was with Malik.
Mm-hmm.
But you constantly keep hearing Pickett. I don't know why, but that's one of the things. Because it's actually a quiet draft.
Right.
Like you can, with this kind of draft, it's not really, I'm not gonna say superstars, but it wasn't really too many big names in the NCAA that stood out that you could say like, oh yeah, he's for sure. Like in the past, you knew who the top 3 picks is, but I don't know. That's it. It's hard.
No, I hear you. I definitely hear you. I have one, but I'm going to hold it till last. So, Xander, what about you?
This was kind of hard. This one's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to bold predict the draft because draft you kind of expect things to happen because you do so much research in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this. I had this prediction with my friends a couple years before, and I think I might try to bring it out again because I didn't hit on it, but I thought I would. But I think the first quarterback picked in the first round will be picked by the Steelers at number 20. All other 19 picks are not going to be a quarterback.
Okay, that's a good one.
That is a good one. All right, this is what I'm thinking. You're saying people are going to reach for Kenny Pickett. I think if Willis or Pickett is available at Arizona at 23, with everything that's been going on with Kyler Murray, I think they're going to draft a quarterback there because I think
so.
Okay. I think so. I think they're
he
so
said
not
on Twitter. He replied to the GM or the owner, wanted to tweet it that that there's no chance of Kyler Murray getting traded, and Kyler Murray replied with the 100% emoji, like 3 or 4 of them. So you think that they're going to that's all smoke and mirrors?
Something I think it is. I think Murray, Murray's so unhappy. He wants the bag. He doesn't deserve the bag, if you ask me. Everyone's been saying Colin Cowherd came out today and said, that they should sign him. I would sign him even with, but something tells me they want a security blanket there. I don't know why. I just have a hunch that Arizona, if there's a quarterback available there, I have a feeling that they might take one of the quarterbacks just as a security blanket in case this Murray thing really does blow up, and then they're left with nothing because who's their? I don't even know who their backup is. So I don't know. Just a bold prediction, as we said.
Yes.
As we said. Well, cool, guys. Let's do a final score check here on what's going on with basketball.
Bring out the brooms.
Yep. Boston is up 95-88 on Brooklyn. The Raptors are up 8 on the Sixers. So, but we'll see what happens in the second half there. And of course, we got Dallas and Utah on at 9:30. Should be a good night of sports. Another sleepless night for me on the East Coast because I end up staying up watching these games and I got to bro to take my daughter to school. So you never know. So Coach, Jai, Xander, thank you guys so much for coming in tonight. I know it's been a couple weeks since we've been on, but always good to hang with you fellas. And stay tuned to the network. Got lots of great stuff coming up this week. Got our big draft special on Thursday night starting at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. We got a pregame, and then of course we're going to be analyzing each picks with Freddie and with our host of Unscripted. It's going to be a great show. So we'll see you guys all through the week, and then we'll be back next Monday at 8 o'clock. So we're out. See you guys next time.
See you.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. we making the plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're out in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.